Today, after visiting two of my friends' apartments, I started questioning something I had always accepted as true. I had always believed financial stress came from not making enough money. I'm not sure I believe that anymore. My friends live in neighboring apartments. One makes almost twice as much money. To my surprise, somehow, he looked far more stressed, while the other seemed more relaxed. They have completely different lives. The first apartment belongs to Dan, earning around $95,000 a year. As you walk inside, everything immediately looks impressive. Actually, this person looks successful. A giant television mounted on the wall, modern furniture, a kitchen full of appliances, some of them still sitting in their original boxes. Closets overflowing with clothes, although many are still carrying tags. And in the corner of the apartment, an exercise bike, apparently not being used, because it is covered in clothes. Too many things around, too much money spent. I thought, this guy should be rich and safe money-wise. But late at night, he opens his banking app with a strange tension in his chest, because deep down, he knows how fragile his entire structure really is. A few bad months, a job loss, a medical emergency, a major repair, and suddenly the pressure begins. Now let's walk into the second apartment, Steve's. This person earns around $52,000 a year, almost half as much. His apartment is simpler, calmer. The television is modest, the furniture is practical, the kitchen contains things that are actually used regularly. No abandoned hobby equipment, no unopened purchases, no extra room filled with forgotten future plans. And somehow the atmosphere feels lighter. This person checks his bank account calmly, not because he is rich, but because he has built margin into his life. Several months of expenses saved, part of every paycheck automatically invested. No constant need to upgrade everything around them. For a long time, this didn't make sense to me, because most of us grow up hearing the same formula. Make more money, life becomes easier, but suddenly I started realizing something else was happening. Sometimes the problem is not the income, sometimes the problem is the lifestyle quietly growing around the income. It is the unnecessary, careless spending of money. The subscriptions we forget, the upgrades, the I might use this someday purchases. The things we buy with good intentions slowly become things we carry for years. And honestly, most people don't buy these things irresponsibly. That's what makes this interesting about human impulses. Nobody buys an exercise bike thinking, this will become an expensive cloth rack. They buy it thinking, this is the version of me that finally becoming fit and disciplined. Nobody buys the expensive camera imagining it collecting dust in a closet. They imagine becoming creative, consistent, focused. Most objects happen to be not sold as objects, they're sold as possibilities. And for a little while, those possibilities feel real, until life gets busy again. And then one day, the thing is still there, quietly taking up space. When you buy something, you rarely pay for it once. You keep paying for it, with space, with maintenance, with attention, with mental energy, and sometimes with money you don't even realize is disappearing. That exercise bike in the corner, maybe it only takes up 16 square feet in your apartment. Doesn't sound like much. But in many American cities, space is expensive. Very expensive. And suddenly that forgotten bike is not just a $1,000 purchase anymore. You may be paying hundreds of dollars every year, just for the space it occupies in your apartment. We had one too, years ago. An exercise bike. At first it felt exciting. First week we rode on it every day. Second week, yes, but not very systematic. Then we began postponing it. What if we skipped now and then? Slowly, the inevitable happened. It became a clothing rack. And honestly, when we finally sold it, the apartment felt lighter. We felt relieved, because the bike itself wasn't the real cost. The real cost was the space it quietly occupied for years, and the crowd and clutter it caused in the corner. In some cities, that small corner of your apartment can cost hundreds of dollars a year. Selling the bike, it felt better than buying it. Maybe clutter doesn't just fill rooms, but it quietly occupies your mind too. That's the part overlooked most. Once you start noticing this, you begin seeing it everywhere. The kitchen gadget used twice a year, the subscription you forgot to cancel, the clothes bought for a version of yourself that never really existed. That's when I started asking a different question. Not, how much does this cost? But, how often will this actually be used? Because that changes everything. A $300 object used once is expensive. A $2,000 object used every single day for 10 years might actually be cheap. That's when I started thinking in terms of cost per use, not purchase price, not branding, not excitement, actual usage. And honestly, this one idea alone quietly kills most impulse purchases, because many things sound useful in theory, but when you imagine your real life, you realize they probably won't matter very much. So they say, wait 24 hours before buying anything. Because after the first impulse fades, you realize whether you really need it or not. Another thing I noticed is that most people buy hobbies before they truly get interested. They buy the equipment first, the expensive guitar, the camera gear, the camping setup, before they even know if they truly enjoy the activity itself. And eventually, garages and closets become museums of abandoned enthusiasm. So I started trying something different. Before buying something connected to a new hobby, I rent it first or borrow it first. Try it before building your identity around it. Because sometimes you don't actually want the hobby, you want the feeling attached to the hobby. And those are not the same thing. When I analyze my purchase habits, another habit I discovered about myself, in time, buying things has become frictionless for me. Too easy. One click, one tap, and a package appears at my door. So I started creating friction on purpose, removing saved credit card information, deleting shopping apps, waiting 24 hours before non-essential purchases. And something strange happened. Most urges disappeared on their own, not because I became more disciplined, because most impulses are temporary. And maybe the most surprising realization was this: the more things I owned, the harder it became to focus. Because every object demanded a little bit of attention, to clean, to organize, to maintain, to think about. And slowly, my environment started feeling noisy. Not physically, but mentally. That's why people who simplify their environment often describe the same feeling afterward: relief. Not because empty rooms are magical, but because fewer things compete for your attention. That's also why counting your possessions can become strangely powerful. Not obsessively, just honestly. How many jackets do you actually own? How many shoes? How many kitchen gadgets? Because once you see the real number, buying another one suddenly feels different. You may realize you're adding a 36th shirt or a 19th pair of shoes, and suddenly the purchase feels unnecessary. That's really what changed everything for me. Awareness. Because accumulation is easy when you never measure it, and maybe that's the real difference between those two apartments at the beginning. Not intelligence, not morality, not even income, just awareness. One person slowly built a lifestyle that consumed almost everything he earned. The other became more intentional about what deserved space in his life. And I don't think this is really about minimalism or living with nothing. I think it's about understanding something most people never stop to calculate. Every object you own has prices beyond the number on the price tag, and furthermore, costs part of your freedom. Wealth isn't just about what you earn, it's about the rules of the game you choose to play. To keep decoding these hidden patterns with us, make sure to like this video and subscribe to the channel. I'll see you in the next cycle.